YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back with our updated NFL power rankings heading into week 4 of the season. These are updated every single Tuesday morning. Tuesday nights, we got weekly picks. Wednesday afternoon, we got score predictions. There's a lot more than that as well. Full NFL coverage here, so make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications on me. Much appreciated. These power rankings, not end of the year predictions, playoff, Super Bowl odds, anything like that. Weekly updated power rankings. Winning matters, losing matters. How you look on the field, what you're showing me on the field plays a massive part. If your team puts together a pretty good streak, that's, of course, going to help their ranking as well. That's how we do things here. So hopefully you guys enjoy them. Picks League's going on. Not too late to join, especially if you join our Super Picks League. There's links pinned in the comments for those. But if the winner of each week, so not on the year, each week gets their picks included in our weekly picks videos. That's why it's not too late. Prizes supplied and giveaway supplied by the GLD shop. You see I'm rocking the Rams pendant right now, which is one of my favorites, the alternate logo there. But yeah, made from real gold, NFL pendants. I got NBA, other sports as well. Some sick chains, very affordable. And then plus my code GOAT for 33% off makes it even more affordable. There's a link pinned in the comments for that as well. Make sure you follow that Twitter. Very important. Live news, rumors, updates, talking during live games, takeaways, really keeping you guys involved with different things there. Yeah, the giveaway and the league prizes, again, held by the GLD shop there. You see NFL players rocking their stuff, of course. So check it out. Again, links pinned down in the comments. So coming in at 32, you see down 2 spots, the Texans. They just can't find ways to close out games. I mean, they have some winnable games there, and it's starting to add up, and they're consistently not able to, they're kind of choking games in a way, so that doesn't help their case, especially without a win here. Very winnable game against the Bears. Fields was throwing interceptions to where they was keeping the Texans in the game, but then the Texans had even more costly interceptions that just really shouldn't happen. They just really shouldn't happen there at the worst time. So there's just like the Colts game. They have that fumble at the end of the game. Like, the game should be put away. So they're consistently making huge mistakes and not able to close games out. So that is not great, obviously. And that kind of puts them at the bottom. Along with the Raiders, who are also deserving of 32, but they moved down a whopping 7 spots, well-deserved. They're playing some bad football all the way around. There's nothing special about this team right now. There's nothing that really stands out, even though they got some good players, so it's very unfortunate. They can't close out games either. The Cardinals game should have been closed out. The Titans game, they're in the red zone the whole game, and they just cannot execute. Big execution problem. And they just seem different. Derek Carr seems different, so I don't know what's going on there. Massive game against the Broncos this week, so we'll see. But yeah, it's weird seeing the Raiders down here. I never would have predicted that I would have the Raiders at the bottom of my power rankings, but that's where they're at. And again, well-deserved. Jets down 1 spot. They did get a nice win against the Browns, comeback win last week. This past week here, though, Week 3, they got beat up by the Bengals, the 0-2 Bengals. A lot of turnovers there, some sloppy football all the way around. They're down 1 spot to 30. 29, Seahawks down 2 spots. I guess a winnable game against the Falcons, just couldn't close it out against an 0-2 Falcons team. The Seahawks made plays offensively. I guess just not enough. The Falcons made those extra plays. So Seahawks are down 2 spots to 29. Speaking of the Falcons, they're up 4 spots. They're actually at the bottom of the power ranking because they were 0-2. They couldn't close out games. Now they get a win against the Seahawks. They made plays when they needed to. They just made more plays than the opponent. They tried to choke it at the end with that read option fumble. It's just the Falcons kind of have to do that in every game, but they closed that one out, and they're up 4 spots to 28. The Panthers were second to last. They were 31, but they got a good win against the Saints. A very good defensive outing. What I like about the offense is, I guess they got the job done, but they ran the ball a little bit more. I've been calling for that, so that was big. So both the NFC South teams coming off their first win, both up 4 spots. Let's see if they can continue off of that momentum there. Commanders are down 4 spots, 26. They got beat up pretty bad by the Eagles. I think even more. The score shows it, but I think even more than the score shows, for sure. They just couldn't really get anything going. Sacked 9 times. Mixture of Wentz holding them. I think mainly Wentz holding the ball a little too long and not getting outside the pocket. And the offensive line maybe struggling a little bit. But they can't even. They have all these weapons and they can't even use them. They can't get things going. Defensively, they're an absolute mess. Missed assignments, bad angles, bad tackling attempts. Absolute mess right now. And they started with a good win against the Jags, so it's just all south since then. So they got to figure something out. They're down to 26. 25 is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers down 6. Yeah, I guess a winnable game. I felt like they were in that game against the Browns for a little bit, but it did end up feeling like the Browns outplayed them by a bit. The Steelers Defense even struggling. They were kind of giving up free plays underneath, even though the Browns kept doing it. They can't stop the run still. Last year was terrible, and they're still kind of in that boat, and they're really missing TJ Watt in general. I know he doesn't he's very good stopping a run, but he's not going to make or break the run defense. Just in general, they're missing TJ Watt, obviously, because he's that good of a player. And offensively, they just can't get anything consistent going. It's like Trubisky, not really smart, not really... Not where he's throwing the ball. Like usually you say that because guys throw the ball, quarterbacks throw the ball to the wrong team, but it's, not really smart with, reading defenses pre-snap, realizing who's going to be open, when to get outside the pocket, things like this. But when he finally does make a good throw, Deontay Johnson drops it. There's a big play there in that game. So just on all cylinders are not firing right now for the Steelers, so it's not good. So they're down 6 spots after a 2-game losing streak here. 24, the Patriots go down 3 spots. They put up a fight against the Ravens. They turned the ball over too much there. They had three interceptions that were costly. They had a fumble towards the end that was costly. They were in that game if it wasn't for the turnover. So, there was some decent moments from the offense, but yeah, just still sloppy football. They're going to go down 3 spots. Now Mac Jones is hurt as well, so it's just brutal for the Patriots there, and they're at 24. Bears are up 5 spots to 23. Bears are finding ways to squeak out a win. Do they look that great on the field right now? I think the defense does. Maybe the running game does. Well, I shouldn't say great. The running game was great last week, but those are things kind of holding them up. The quarterback play's been pretty bad. Like the passing game's been really bad, but they're finding ways to win, so they're moving up. They're up 5 spots to 23. Can they keep this going without much of a passing game? That's one of the more intriguing things to watch here moving forward. But yeah, that was a good game against a tight game against the Texans there. 22, the Titans go up 3 spots. They're on the board with the win. Really, they were dominating the Raiders for a portion of that game. They kind of let them come back, and then the Raiders were getting the red zone pretty easy. So the Titans can't really let that happen. But they're good to see Derrick Henry getting going. The red zone defense clutched up. They are 22 now. 21, the Cardinals down 6 spots. Yeah, tough one against the Rams. Yeah, it's a good team, I suppose, against the Rams, but it didn't feel nearly as close as the score shows. It's just Rams had control the whole game. The Cardinals get production, but they really can't get much going on offense to get points up on the board. And defensively, just nothing special about that defense. They played all right. They held the Rams to 20 or whatever points, but just nothing unique going. Their win against the Raiders, not looking as strong right now. It was a good comeback in the end, but that's the thing with the Cardinals. You take all the quarters of football played so far, and they only have like 1 or 2 where it felt like they were a good team, So, and they did escape with that win against the Raiders last week. But so it's been tough for the Cardinals this early portion of the season. So pretty beat up at the receiver position, but they're getting production. They're just not finding ways to adjust as they get down the field and get the ball in the end zone. So it's just a little strange what's happening there. The Bengals go up 3 spots to get their first win. Did it in somewhat dominating fashion there. Created a lot of turnovers. Hendrickson had a big game. Offense did enough there. Boyd had a big game. I get that they couldn't really get Mixon going, though. They didn't get much from Chase, and they still won by a pretty good amount. But massive game against the Dolphins on Thursday Night Football. Let's see if they can get a little bit of a streak going. Saints are going to go down quite a bit. They go down 8 spots. It's a 2-game losing streak, and they lost to the Panthers, who were ranked 31 last week. It's a tough one, too. They just really couldn't get much going. They lost a lot of momentum with that fumble early, but yeah, not a whole lot going for them. The run defense doesn't look like your typical Saints run defense. I'm sure they'll figure it out at some point, but it's a little odd. They seem off. The same with the offensive line. It doesn't feel like a Saints offensive line. They are beat up a little bit. They really get production offensively. They got to take care of the ball a little bit more, but a little disappointing. They'll play the Vikings in London this week here, early game there. They're at 19, though, after a disappointing loss. Lions go down 2 spots. Very winnable game against the Vikings there, and they could not find a way to pull it off. I really blame coaching, and the defense needed to step up as well, but offense really did their part. They could have, I guess they could have done a little more in the end, but offense did their part in that game. They're 1-2. They look like a decent 1-2 team, I suppose. They got some offense going, but there's just still some miscues in there. They're down 2 spots to 18. The Giants, I did not move the Giants at all. It was a battle against the Cowboys in that Monday night game. A lot of defense in that game. Honestly, I do think the Cowboys, it was crazy that the Giants were in that game still, because I felt like the Cowboys were outplaying them by a bit, but that's really not much of a knock on the Giants. I still was kind of impressed with the Giants. The Cowboys, I'm very impressed with. Daniel Jones was all right. He threw a pick at the end, but he was all right in that game. The pressure he had to deal with, throwing on the run, escaping, using his legs. The defense played played all right. They're a 2-1 team still. They have 2 wins. So there was definitely no need to move them down, especially with a lot of these now 1-2 teams, having to drop down even further. So I didn't see any reason to move the Giants there. 16, the Browns go up a whopping 10 spots. I mean, beat the Steelers, is that worthy of 10? No, but there's a lot of things going into that, actually getting a win, getting to 2-1, a lot of movement in this early in the season. A lot of teams dropping to 1-2. Browns 2-1. It seems like there's a bigger difference in one game from 2-1 to 1-2. And they probably should be 3-0. They're not, but they probably should be 3-0. But I guess the offense, maybe a little underrated. The offense is actually produced. It is actually produced. I mean, Brissett played a pretty good game last week. We know they have the strong running game. We got Njoku coming alive. The defense came alive in the second half. So just felt pretty good about that Browns win overall. That second half, the momentum they gained, how they played. And they are, closer to being 3-0 than they are 1-2. They're sitting at 2-1. So maybe a little, mainly the offense, maybe a little bit more offense, maybe a little bit more of a threat on offense than everyone maybe gave them credit for. So the Browns up 10 spots. Again, a lot of help for teams now being 1-2, after last week, and the Browns being 2-1. 15, the Niners are going to go on 3 spots. They're 1-2 as well. I do like the defense, though. They had an incredible defensive outing against the Broncos. And I thought, watching that game, watched every snap, I thought the Niners outplayed the Broncos in that game. But not by much, but I thought they did, and they lost. At the end of the day, they lost. That's what matters. But so it was a tough one. You got to find ways to win that game. But again, I love the defense, and they are missing some pieces as well, so they could be even stronger. But the offense got to get some things together. They got to take care of the ball. Or I guess the Broncos weren't taking care of the ball like the Niners, but it just ended up not falling their way with who got the turnovers there. So that's why that was a weird game. Like 3 turnovers to 0 doesn't really sum up what happened there. They both were very sloppy with the football evenly. But they still moved down. They lost. They still moved down 3 spots. We'll see if they can figure it out. Quite a few injuries there, so they got to get that cleaned up, hopefully. Chargers down 7 spots. Yeah, they're another loss for them, 2 in a row. I go back to that Chiefs game. I know the Jags, they just got their ass beat to the Jags. That played a massive factor. But I go back to that Chiefs game, massive missed opportunity. That's probably a game they should win based on how it went. Just a massive missed opportunity, I said at the time. And it feels like it's hurting them a week later, and they get their ass beat to the Jaguars. I mean, just completely outplayed. And, of course, they had injuries pile up during this, but just completely outplayed in this game. We still feel like it's a danger. It could be a dangerous team on both sides of the ball, but they, when you get beat like that, you're going to move down quite a bit, and they did. They moved down 7 spots to 14. Colts go up 7 spots to 13. The Colts are 1-1-1 right now, so not a 2-loss team. People kind of talking like they're a 2-loss team. They beat the Chiefs. They go and beat the team I had ranked second, so I thought that was pretty big as well. I like this defense. So the defense is playing well. But the main thing is, which I'm a huge fan of, which people sleep on, is run defense. It is so damn important. People don't realize it. To be a good defense, you first have to stop the run. They have been dominant stopping the run. So that stands out to me, and that is helping them be in ball games. Except for the Jags, which the Jags look like a pretty good team, so that loss maybe doesn't look – it's a pretty bad loss because they lost 24-0, but maybe it doesn't look as bad on the resume. And they don't have the 2 losses. They're 1-1-1. So, again, I love the run defense so far. They'll play Big Derrick Henry this week. True test. I'm excited about that division rival game because those have been epic the last couple of years. So the Colts – get a big boost there. They're up to 13. 12, the Broncos go up 1 spot. I love the defense. Defense is playing incredible. Big reason why they're up in the top 12. Pretty good ranking. Offense has really been underwhelming. They got the job done, but I thought that they were a little lucky to win that game. But at the end of the day, they won. That's why they're up a spot. Got to take care of the ball a little bit better. They didn't turn the ball. That's why it's, if you didn't watch the game, maybe the turnover stats of that game, maybe a little misleading. The Broncos were careless with the ball as much, if not more than the 49ers. Just happened to bounce their way kind of in that. So they got to be much better on offense. I did think the play, I didn't really have a moment where I was like, what is this play calling like I did the first 2 weeks? So maybe Hackett's improving here. They just didn't really execute that great on offense, but they got the job done. That defense, they don't have Simmons right now either. They got some injuries. The defense is balling there, so they are at 12. The Jaguars are at 11. They're up 7 spots to 11. They're on a 2-game win streak really they should be 3-0. They really blew that Commanders game on just not getting touchdowns in the red zone, but they lost that game. But they're on a 2-game win streak. They beat up the Colts 24-0 in week 2. I think we were all kind of just thinking, or a lot of people were kind of thinking the Colts are just bad. Like, I don't know, maybe the Jags are the Jags are good right now. Will they be good as the season goes on? We'll see. And they just dominate a good team in the LA Chargers there. Absolutely dominate them. I love the way they're playing on both sides of the ball. Trevor Lawrence is playing well. The running backs, mainly Robinson, playing well. The receivers, all of them getting involved. Both Joneses and, of course, Christian Kirk. Defensively, that's a solid defense right now. And I talked about in the offseason, sneaky defense. I said sneaky team. I said sneaky defense because they can give all these different looks, and they have a very stout defensive line, can stop the run. They're number 1 stopping the run right now statistically. And they're giving all these different looks. The blitz is incredible. You don't know what they're doing. It's hard to deal with them pre-snap. So the Jaguars are looking like a pretty damn good team right now. Will it continue? We'll wait and see. And that'll determine their rank. But, some people are probably doubting them, but they look legit right now. So they're up 7 spots to number 11. I don't think people were expecting that. Number 10, I got the Vikings staying put. It's a good win against the Lions. A little sloppy, actually. They were pretty damn sloppy throughout that game. They had Jefferson dropping the ball. Irv Smith dropped a massive ball. Dalvin Cook running into his own guy, fumbling, dislocating his shoulder. Missed field goals. Defense looking a little sus out there. But they find a way to win, clutch up, because we see they're explosive on offense. And they can use different weapons. You're feeling Osborne getting going there. I said I've seen some all-22. Jefferson was actually triple teamed. Not the Osborne touchdown, with the big one before that set them up. They actually had 3 on Jefferson, so you see the impact Jefferson's making even without having the production. They didn't end up moving. I think it's mainly because the Cowboys. I felt like the Cowboys were deserving to move up to here. The Cowboys have been extremely impressive. They look like the best defense in football. I guess debatable, but they look like the best defense in football right now. And the offense is playing well. Cooper Rush is playing well. CeeDee Lamb did have a bad drop in that game, but overall the receivers playing well. He had some massive plays. Noah Brown's playing well. They're about to get Gallup back, Schultz back. Offensive line played way better than expected in that game. Last night. Again, the defense, it's a well-called defense. It makes plays. The Pollard-Zeke duo is looking pretty solid as well. Pollard needs the ball more probably. They just look like a good football team all the way around. The Giants were 2-0. They're in New York. Teams were 7-2 in home prime time before that. It's a tough task. And if you watch that game, I thought the Cowboys outplay the Giants by more than what the score shows. I thought they were really outplaying them. They got to execute in the red zone maybe. But at the same time, the Giants were playing all right football. They were playing solid football. So I was just really impressed. I am really impressed with the Cowboys right now. So I thought they were deserving of hopping. Maybe a team like the Vikings who got a pretty good win. So Cowboys up 5 spots, number 9. We did not think, who would have thought that the Cooper Rush Cowboys would be inside the top 10 by week 4. Pretty wild there. We're on to the top 8. We got the Ravens up 1 spot. Still a little sloppy on defense. And now it's weird because they created turnovers that helped them get the win. 3 interceptions. Kyle Hamilton forcing a big fumble. So you could say that it was great for the defense, but they are giving up chunk plays, a lot of yards. I think the Patriots were able to run and pass on them. So the defense, it's still a little bit of a work in progress, I think, because they really changed things. We talked about it from last year, this year, but the offense has looked very solid. I'd like for them to get the running backs going. Still waiting for that running backs to get going a little bit more, but Lamar is dominant on the ground, dominant through the air, getting different options going. So that's the impressive thing about the Ravens. If you were to say they won't have much of a running game outside Lamar, the running backs won't be able to get things going, you may say, hey, they may struggle offensively because they are a run-first team, but they're not. They're finding ways to win with. They're still on the ground because Lamar's going crazy, but finding ways to win through the air. So it's been pretty impressive. So the Ravens, tough task against the Bills this week. They're up 1 spot to number 8. Bucks down 4 spots to number 7. Yeah, it was tough against the Packers because it was a winnable game and they were really beat up. But at the end of the day, they lost it. They couldn't find a way to score until the end. So that's pretty tough as well. I love the defense, though. I think they're maybe debatably one of the best in football. The pass defense, the adjustments by Todd Bowles, and after the Packers got 14. Very impressive. So just a very stout defense. They got to figure something out on offense. I think they're about to get some weapons back, so that should help. But let's see it in action. Let's see it happen, and then move back up. They're home against the Chiefs on Sunday Night Football. They're going to need their weapons back. That's going to be a fun one there. There's a hurricane going down there, so we'll see what happens with that. But Number 6, the Packers, who beat the Bucks. They happen to be up 2 spots. They're on a 2-game winning streak. Still don't know what the hell that was in week 1, but maybe just week 1 things. But yeah, they're on a 2-game win streak here. Really good defensive outing. I mean, the Bucks didn't score their first touchdown until at the end there. At the very end, they stepped up on that 2-point conversion. There was a delay of game, but they stepped up. So really, and they did their job early with offense in this game. It did kind of shut down though after that Jones fumble. But that defense is looking impressive right now. They're up 2 spots to number 6. Number 5 is going to be the Chiefs, a disappointing one against the Colts. They'll go down 3 spots. Overall, out of the 3 games, they still look like a really good team, but coming off that loss against a game they should win. Looking at the Colts, what's going on with them, they should win. But looking at the game as well, Kelsey drops a touchdown. They miss a field goal. They get unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever on Chris Jones, taunting, whatever it was. Like all rapid fire felt like, and that just killed them. It just absolutely killed them. So sloppy play there. Very sloppy play. Could not get the run game going. Pass game was all right. It's usually better, but, so will they have a hard time with teams that, maybe are a little more stout on the defensive side? Could that be a thing, moving forward, looking at that Colts game? Because we look at the Cardinals, who are really struggling, the Chargers, who, the Jaguars played better than the Chiefs did against them. So maybe we're seeing who the matchup with the Chiefs don't want, the type of matchup they don't want is maybe more of the defensive teams. So sloppy outing overall. Through the other 2 games, they've looked pretty good. But they're still down 3 spots to number 5. The Rams go up 1 spot, solid win against the Cardinals. I felt like they could have done a little more, but they did control the game the whole game. It really felt like. It felt like they won by more than what the score showed because they just completely outplayed the Cardinals. Good defensive outing. They did give up yards, but they held them out of the end zone for the most part there. They got Akers going minus that fumble, but I felt like they could have put more points on the board if I had to nitpick, but they controlled that game. That's really, the Cardinals are struggling right now. But that's really a tough one. In Arizona, week 3, division battle. It's clutch to win those games, and they found a way. So they are number 4, up 1 spot. 3, the Bills, who have looked like after 2 weeks, look like the most dominant team in football. They fell to the Dolphins there in a tough one. I mean, and they're gonna go down 2 spots, number 3. A game they could have won. They had production, they just couldn't really get the ball in the end zone enough. He thought if they lost, it was going to be because they're missing so many guys on defense. And there were some plays where that showed here and there, but the offense just didn't do as what it's supposed to do really in that game. Some miscues there, some missed opportunities, I suppose. But a very winnable game. But in the heat, definitely played a big factor. But it is what it is. There, the Dolphins had to play in it as well. Other teams got to play in it. So the Bills, very well. People could be predicting them to be the number 1 team when it's all said and done in terms of playoff odds, Super Bowl odds. But it's a week by week update power rankings. They fall to the Dolphins, so they're going to go down a little bit. They still look very, very much dominant. Only 2 games though they look dominant, but they still look like a very good team. They got to get guys back healthy here and maybe execute a little better on offense. They're the number 3, 1 and 2, the 2 undefeated teams left. You got the Dolphins and the Eagles. It's a tough decision for me for who to put 1 and who to put 2, because one team has maybe more of the resume on paper, like who you beat. You beat the Ravens, you beat the Bills, and I think in the other team, not that they're lacking a resume at all, but maybe they have the on the field. And the Dolphins too, but the Eagles probably looked better on the field. And that's what I went with here. I went Dolphins 2 up 4 spots, and the Eagles up 3 spots. The Eagles were coming from only 3 spots down as well, so that maybe that played a factor. But it's kind of like a 1A, 1B. They're both undefeated right now. They're both looking really good. The Dolphins has got a massive win over the Buffalo Bills. There was some sloppy football in there a little bit here and there, but they clutched up, made plays. The Ravens game, that's the thing against the Ravens, they beat the Ravens, but they were poor on defense. They relied on the comeback, but explosive on offense. But their resume is looking pretty good. I'm very much impressed with the Dolphins. They show that they can win on offense or defense. We kind of need them on the same page at the same time, which we've saw, throughout portions of games. But big game against the Bengals on Thursday Night Football. They're up 4 spots to number 2. Crazy to see the Dolphins at number 2. Crazy to see the Eagles at 1 as well. They're up 3 spots to 1. But Eagles have looked like consistently the best team on the field so far this year. You could say the Bills as well, but they just had that loss. But the Eagles, their offense has an elite outing in week 1. Defense, a little sus in that one, but then week 2, the defense is absolutely dominant. The offense was as well against the Vikings team, who was coming off a win against the Packers. And then in week 3, they dominate the Commanders. They dominate more than what the score shows. They could have anything they wanted offensively. that they had going there. Defensively, they get 9 sacks. Defense is really getting going right now. So all the way through, they winning 3-0. Some good things, there, but some really good things on the field and what they're showing me. So I think the Eagles were deserving of being one. Not that the Dolphins aren't, really, but Dolphins up 4-2, Eagles up 3-1. So we'll see what happens this week to change the power rankings going into next week. We're kind of getting there where the season starts to settle down a little bit. The power rankings start to settle down. Just teams were kind of going to get their true identity. Maybe it was so sloppy in week 3 still. We might have another sloppy week here. But I think, once we get to week 5 rolling around, we're going to get true identities on teams. Things start to taking shape, taking form, settle down, like we said. So I'm excited for that. Let's see. Probably some more upsets coming this week. We'll see how that affects the power rankings. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments. We're always talking with you guys on Twitter as well. There's a link pinned in the comments for that, as well as other important things, Picks League, GLD Shop, things like that. So check it all out. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. We have full NFL coverage here. Weekly picks tonight, Tuesday night. Excited for those. Hopefully you join us. That's going to do it. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.